talk now. This MMA, what we talking about? Yeah, you tuned into the pod now. Gonna be hard for you to stop now. Yeah, we caged in. Yeah, we caged in. Yeah, we caged in.
Welcome back to another episode of Caged In. I'm your host, Chris DiCarlo. Got a very special guest on the line with me today. It's Tyler Menard. How we doing today, my man?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for, coming on the show. I've heard a lot about you from, your friends and your training partners over at Lauzon. So I knew it was only a matter of time before I got you on the show, and I'm glad, this is the time.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. This is one of my first podcasts that I didn't have a teammate with me. So.
Hell yeah. Perfect, man. I'm honored to be, one of the first ones then. You are a first timer on the show, bro. So I'd like to get to know you a little bit better, get into your background. So just kind of tell me, where were you born and raised, and, how was growing up for you?
Yeah, so I grew up in Mattapoisett, Massachusetts, which is a little small beach town on the south coast of Massachusetts. It only has 6,000 people or something like that, so most people haven't heard of it. But yeah, so I grew up there. I just moved out of that town actually and moved out of my parents' house. I'm now living in New Bedford, Massachusetts, which is a couple towns over, not really that far. Yeah, so I actually live with Andrew Baldina and another friend of mine.
Oh, nice. How was, growing up for you, man? Were you an athlete growing up? Did you play a lot of sports?
I mean, kinda. I played. My dad and my brother are super into all the conventional sports like baseball, basketball, football. So naturally, because of them, I played baseball growing up a little bit. I stopped kind of early though. Maybe I played a few years of that, and then I played basketball since I was 4 or 5 until I played freshman year of high school. After that, I gave it up, and then I just went year-round jiu-jitsu and training that stuff, which was a great idea at the time.
For sure. You mentioned jiu-jitsu. Was that your first introduction into MMA?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll tell you how I got into it, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
I was in 6th grade, and we were all in line because that's what we used to do back then. And one of my friends was in front of me. His name was Patrick Kiernan. If he sees this, thank you, Patrick, but he probably won't. Yeah, so he was in front of me, and he was telling me about how he has martial arts tonight. So I start asking him what it is and stuff. He tells me where he's training, which at the time it was Nexus Martial Arts, which was in Wareham, Massachusetts.
Nice.
So I went home, immediately telling my dad about it, and he had me signed up that day, and I got going. So I was 11 years old back then.
Nice.
Yeah, so he got me into it, and I trained it was at Nexus Martial Arts at the time, 2011, and then it transitioned to SBG East Coast. And I trained there up until January of 2021, and then I switched over to Lauzon MMA. Nice. So I've been at Lauzon's for 2 years now, which is time flies.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny that you mentioned Nexus because I actually used to roll over at Nexus as well back in the day. Yeah, it was in between my senior year of high school and my freshman year of college. So it was only a couple months. Okay, so probably 2010. So kind of around the same time as you, but maybe a little bit before.
I was a little kid though at the time.
Yeah, so exactly.
How old are you now?
I'm 31.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where did you grow up? Because you must have been local.
Yeah, I live in Bourne. It's right over the bridge from where Nexus was in Wareham. Yeah, just me and my buddy were huge fans of the sport. He was a big Taekwondo competitor, and he wanted to, get started at MMA, and took me with him to Nexus. And I only stayed there for a little bit. Like I said, it was right before I went to college. So once I went to college, I kind of, stopped. But cool. I don't hear a lot of people mention Nexus. So when you mentioned that,
it's old school.
For sure. Let's get into the rest of your mix. You mentioned you got into Lauzon's, and how did you get started starting to build your whole MMA game since you already had that jiu-jitsu background?
Yeah. So I'd been doing jiu-jitsu already for a long time, and I wanted to start transitioning to MMA. At the time, SBG, they weren't really too heavily focused on MMA, so I wanted to start training at Lauzon's because obviously that's the mecca of New England, right?
For sure.
But during COVID, I started picking up my striking training with my buddy Pete Luciani. I don't know if you've seen him, kind of a crazy guy, long hair.
Of course, I've seen him. Yeah.
So he's a great striking coach, great pad holder. And I had known him because he had trained at Nexus and SVG even longer than me, probably starting 2010.
Right.
Or maybe even earlier. I don't even know. But I've known him. Right. I was a little kid. He was obviously he's probably 10 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up around him, and then he started helping me out during COVID with striking. So I started picking it up. Just because I wanted to. I have great jiu-jitsu.
Right.
I just wanted to improve the striking, and since then it's improved dramatically working with Pete.
For sure.
So then I transitioned over to Lauzon's, right, on the tail end of like the lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started. I already knew Joe Lauzon for like a while because I would pop in there as a kid.
Right.
I had a cousin who coached there and trained there for a while, so he would bring me in, and I knew Lauzon, so I knew that was the right choice.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. I've heard nothing but, great things. I've had the pleasure of meeting a lot of Lauzon's guys through the, Cage Titans scene, and then, having a few of them on my show as well. So I've heard nothing but great things about Lauzon's, and I know it's probably like the number one gym probably in the region. So it's awesome that you found your way over there and got involved there. How you've mentioned that you've been at Lauzon's for what, 2 years?
Yep.
How has Lauzon's kind of helped build your game, your overall game, since, you do have that great jiu-jitsu background? How would you say that since joining Lauzon's, you've seen your game improve?
Yeah, so probably the biggest thing I would notice is like my grappling was oriented towards jiu-jitsu, like sport jiu-jitsu. I was like a sport jiu-jitsu player. I competed a lot.
Right.
But transitioning into MMA, it's a bit different, right? You need to control positions better, and so that you can focus on hitting. So I would say my ground and pound and like controlling positions so that I can hit and finding ways to hit people while they're on bottom has dramatically improved since going there. I think that's the biggest thing. Joe's obviously a master at it, so he helped me out with that. Yeah.
For sure. How have you seen like the rest of your game like catching up to your jiu-jitsu? Do you feel like it's getting close?
Yeah, so I would say my wrestling has improved a lot because Valdina's right in front of me right now. This kid's
No.
come in.
What's up, buddy?
What's going on?
What's going on, my man?
Okay. Yeah. So since coming to Lauzon's, my wrestling has gotten a lot better too because every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're always doing wrestling rounds. We're doing a bunch of wrestling rounds. As a sport jiu-jitsu player myself, before coming over, like before I focus on MMA or anything else,
Sure.
obviously there's a lot of guard pulling and it's not as wrestling heavy. It could be,
Right.
but
Yeah.
It's not always spent on the feet, So coming over, I had a lot more rounds starting standing, and my wrestling is pretty good these days. My striking, I'm way more comfortable striking. We do sparring on Saturdays. Everybody comes in from all different gyms to train with us, and I train with all different levels. UFC fighters in there, Bellator fighters, amateur fighters. We got local pro fighters. It's great. Yeah, it's a melting pot, and I've improved a lot since coming there.
There you go, man. Love to hear it. Let's talk about your amateur fucking MMA debut, man. Cage Titans 57, you beat Joshua Rodriguez in the first round by ground and pound TKO. There was a lot of hype about you coming into this fight. I think most of the hype was circulating around, your jiu-jitsu and your ground game and everything. But what was it like for you, getting in there at Cage Titans 57, and why was now the right time to make that debut?
So I was trying to debut a little earlier, actually, in October, but we couldn't really find any names to fight me. Either people were turning it down, or we just couldn't find the right guy. But yeah, so what was your question again? My bad.
Oh, you're good, man. Why was January Cage Titans 57? Like, why was that the right time for you to make your debut?
Yeah. So I've been preparing for a while. Like I said, I was trying to get in October, and we finally got a name. He then backed out, and we had to find a replacement, and we did on short notice. Luckily, respect to Josh for taking that fight. Nobody else wanted to do it. I was ready. I've been ready for a while, and like I said in my post-fight interview in the backstage that I'm like super comfortable in Plymouth Memorial Hall because I've done a super fight there for jiu-jitsu, and I've walked out with Valdina probably 4 or 5 times now as his corner.
Right.
So like backstage, there was no nerves at all, and I feel like I should have been a little bit nervous because I'm about to get into a fist fight, but I was completely calm and comfortable, which is weird.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was your MMA debut, but like you've been to the Memorial Hall a bunch of times, with your your teammates and your friends that also fight in that building. But was it any different for you now that it was you making that walk instead of one of your training partners?
Honestly, not much different. I obviously trained really hard for it and everything, so like the lead up was different because I'm actually the one fighting this time.
Yeah.
But like the walk and everything like that, like I thought I had to get like super intense and focused in backstage because I see like so many other people like really honing in, but
Right.
me, like my personality didn't really change. I was like joking around with my coaches and stuff right up until we walked out. Like right, even backstage, like right before the curtain, we were messing around. It was pretty crazy. I don't know if that's just how I am or what, but
yeah, man, like everybody's different, you know. Every fighter's different, how your mind works and how you prep and all that stuff's different. So it's not always going to be the same. So I'm sure the way that you handle that walkout is going to be different than all your teammates too.
Yeah, it was a great time.
For sure, I bet. You had a pretty big cheering section for you in there too, man. They were getting hyped for you.
Yeah, Milkstrap Mafia. That's what they crown themselves.
Yeah, you took over a whole section over there over there.
I sold like a lot of tickets, like close to 200. There's 200 people specifically there to see me.
Oh yeah.
And I sold 108 mezzanine tickets, and it was funny because I counted the section at weigh-ins, and one mezzanine section is 108 seats.
Damn, that's crazy that it worked out like that.
Yeah, I know. I obviously couldn't pack the whole section because it's just how people trickle in. But if it happened that way, we would have had an entire mezzanine section packed.
Yeah, man, you already filled it out pretty good the way it was, so I can only imagine.
Yeah, I sold like probably close to 200, and there's only like 1,600 seats in there, so that's like an eighth.
Yeah, dude, that's big. Like you had, some of the loudest pops of the night. That you had that whole section going crazy. You ended up getting a win by TKO. Going into that fight, what was your kind of game plan versus Joshua Rodriguez? And do you think that you executed that game plan to the way you wanted to?
Yeah, so obviously I'm a jiu-jitsu guy, I'm a grappler, but I was prepared to do like anything I needed to do. I kind of wanted to stay on the feet a little bit longer just because I've never been in an actual official fight that's been on the feet like that with involved. So it would have been awesome to throw some punches and trade some kicks and stuff. But yeah, just it happened so fast. Obviously, anytime I'm going to get uncomfortable, I'm going to get it where I need it to be. And that was on top of him and Mount raining down punches.
For sure, for sure.
So coming out, obviously, I was ready to grapple at any moment and take him to the ground.
Yeah, most people, they would have predicted that you would have won that fight by submission. I was actually, where I was sitting on the floor, I was kind of surrounded by a few people that trained with you at Lauzon's, and I was kind of asking them all, like, how do you think Tyler gets the finish? And all of them said by some type of submission, and then you go out there and you get the finish by TKO. Did you surprise yourself in that aspect, or is that just, how it came to you?
Not really, honestly. I figured, obviously, like, submissions are the top, like what I'm best at, right?
Right.
But once I get on top, there's really like my control in grappling is so good that they're not going anywhere, so I can just hit them or do whatever I want, and I'm not worried about A, like them getting up or escaping, or B, me ending up on my back, because I can still throw up subs off my back, right? Or get right up, or sweep, or do whatever I need to do. So I knew that if I got on top, I could start raining down punches and not have to worry about anything.
Definitely.
And once I started going, I heard the crowd erupting.
Yeah.
I had to get the TKO because it's pretty satisfying. I'm not gonna lie. And like the submissions, I've done that for so long now. I'm kind of I want to do something new. Yeah,
for sure. How would you give yourself a overall performance grade on your MMA debut there?
I would say like, are you talking out of 10?
Whatever you want to do, A to F, 1 to 10. I don't care.
I'll give myself A-. There you go. I mean, I got the finish. I didn't get touched, so it couldn't have gone much better. But I wasn't expecting him to come out and try to grapple me. He got double unders immediately, clinched with me, and I was not expecting that. I obviously don't want to allow anyone to get double unders on me, but I was actually happy with the position. I was happy he did that because now I have a connection, which is exactly what I want, right?
Exactly.
But the ref separated us right away, which was annoying because he thought Josh needed me in the low blow, basically.
Right.
I didn't feel anything. Looking back at it, it did connect, but I didn't feel any pain. So I was telling the ref, let us stay in the clinch. It's fine. He's also yelling at the ref, I didn't knee him low.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's good. Let me stay in the clinch. The ref yells at us, separates us, and then immediately starts us back up. I feel like if you're going to separate us, like, give me the time because I just got kneed in the nuts,
Right, yeah, exactly. Like, if he was calling the low blow there, and he just doesn't give you the time to recover, even though that's what he was separating it for.
I wanted to stay in the clinch. But if you're going to separate us, give me a second. Immediately he starts us back up. Josh throws a huge overhand left. Luckily, I ducked under and shot the takedown as he did that. So it was fine. I think that was just like instinctual, running off instincts at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it was a little weird for a second, but it's all good. I don't know who the ref was, but he's cool.
Yeah, I mean, you ended up, like I said, you ended up getting the first round TKO by ground and pound. You can't really complain too much about how it ended.
Yeah.
Post-fight, where you made all your splash, crushing the hot dog on top of the cage,
Yeah.
and crushing it as you got your hand raised. I got to know, how long did you have that plan for? Because I'm sure that wasn't a spur of the moment thing.
So here's what happened.
Right.
One of my jiu-jitsu students and one of my friends, he was hanging out with me Thursday night, and he made a joke about throwing a hot dog to me while I was in the cage.
Yeah.
He was completely joking. I took it dead serious, and I was like, "No, you're doing that."
Yeah.
He's like, and then he starts getting all nervous about it. He doesn't really want to do it. He doesn't know if I'm serious.
Right.
I'm like, this is happening. He was sitting mezzanine, right?
Yeah.
I was like, once I finish this fight, I'm climbing on the cage, and you're throwing me the hot dog, and I'm eating it on top of the cage.
Hell yeah.
We were both laughing about it, and we were like, okay, we're doing it. But then when it actually happened, right, I climb on the cage. I can't see the crowd because it's so dark and it's so bright in the cage.
Exactly.
I don't know where he is or where it's coming from. I can't find him.
Yeah.
So he told me that once I was looking in his general direction, he fired it. Last second, I see tinfoil coming my way.
Yeah.
I get my hands on it, but I bobble it.
Yeah.
It falls to the ground. People are like, what was that? One of my coaches luckily tosses it up to me.
Right.
I unravel it, display it to the crowd. Crowd goes wild, take a bite, and then I almost choked and died because of it. The thing was so dry, my mouth was so dry from the fight that like, you can see in videos, like I'm like choking, like
Right.
I was yelling in my corner, I need water. And then once they got it to me, I was good to go. I knew I was gonna live to see another day.
Hey man, I'm glad you did. That was a wild. I remember we were seeing you on top of the cage. I was like, "See, you had a hot dog on the cage." Like, I've never seen anything like it, bro.
I think it's one of the most original celebrations.
100%, 100%. It was awesome.
You got the shoey, which everyone's doing nowadays, but I love a good hot dog, so I had to up the.
There you go. I saw through your social media that after the celebration you ended up securing a sponsorship with a Rhode Island-based hot dog company called Soggy's. How did that partnership kind of come about, and was it specifically because of this celebration?
Yeah, so shout out to Soggy Franks, my new sponsor. It's official as of like a week ago. Yeah, so I did the hot dog celebration. Apparently that's now my thing. They posted a couple of videos online. And then, like, a day later, Soggy Frank's Instagram follows me. I hadn't heard of them yet, but a lot of the people from Rhode Island that I know, like, love it. It's like a Rhode Island thing.
Right.
Island staple. So they're telling me about it. So they follow me. I'm like, okay, they must be interested, right? I give them a message. They message me back and say they're interested. So I'm like, okay, this is good. We set up a meeting. We had a meeting. It was productive. And, yeah, now it's official. We're partners.
Hell yeah, man. Congratulations.
I found out. The way they found me is Ross Levine. He tagged me. He tagged them in my my post-fight speech about the hot dogs, and that's how it happened. I didn't know that until like 5 days after, but yeah, thanks.
That makes sense because he's a Rhode Island guy, right?
Yeah. So he must have known about him.
Yeah, I mean, if Soggy's is a Rhode Island thing, I'm sure that was probably the first company on his mind when he saw you crushing the hot dog.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations. I got to know now, though, man. You said the hot dog was a little dry. Your ideal hot dog, man. How are you putting it down? What are the toppings?
Yeah, okay. So I've been asked this a couple times since the fight, actually. But my ideal hot dog is I'm pretty like plain guy when it comes to food. I'm slightly picky, but I love it's a Rhode Island thing, I believe, but a hot dog with Coney Island sauce. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I have.
It's basically just like a slightly spicy meat sauce, and yeah, like that's it. Just throw the meat sauce on there, and I'm gonna eat that thing. If they don't have that, like a chili of some sort, it's basically the same thing, but it has beans. I prefer the no beans, but it is what it is if I need to do it. There's also a place in New Bedford that has like ground chorizo on top. That's pretty good. It's got like some peppers and stuff, some sweet peppers.
Yeah, that sounds fire, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
For sure,
but
for sure. Hey.
Soggy Franks from now on. Only Soggy Franks is what I eat.
Of course, always. Nothing else. 2023, man, the year's young. You're still young. You're in your, how old are you, 22?
I'm 22, yep.
Yeah, so you're still young. We're still early in 2023. Do you have any plans on when you would like to get back in the cage next and get your second fight under your belt?
Yeah, so I have actually no idea what I'm fighting again, right?
Mhm.
I fight basically because it's fun and I want to fight and it's like entertains me.
Mhm.
But I'm not like dedicated. Like I'm not like throwing it all to the UFC. Like I'm trying to get to the UFC.
Right.
I'm doing this because I love MMA, I love jujitsu, and I love to train, right?
Mhm.
So I really wanted to fight in January, and I really wanted to fight in October. I finally did it,
Mhm.
and I kind of scratched that itch. But so when the desire for me to fight comes back, when I actually want to do it again, I'm gonna hop in there 100%. I'm just taking some time to relax and
For sure.
figure out what's next. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Do you have any plans on doing any grappling competitions and stuff like that? I know that's like your true
Yeah.
passion. Do you
Yeah.
have anything planned for there as far as like any competitions coming up?
It's funny you say that. Like a couple days ago, I was thinking about hopping back into the jiu-jitsu world.
Mhm.
It's been a while since it's probably been like a year and 4 months since I competed in any jiu-jitsu because I was
Right.
just dedicated to MMA at that point.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think I don't know what's coming up for tournaments or like events,
Right.
but I think I might hop in there sooner than later. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
You know, before I get you out of here, man, I appreciate you taking the time, and it's been an awesome conversation, and I'm glad you actually reached out and we made this happen. And but before I get you out of here, man, I usually like to end on some fun, like random questions. Some are MMA related, some are not. So let's just go with the quick, easy, go to. Do you have a favorite movie?
Favorite movie. So I'm actually like a huge movie guy.
Mhm.
I watch probably like 5 movies a week.
Hell
So
yeah.
I'm rattling through constantly. And
Mhm.
there's so many that I loved, but that just slipped my memory because I'm watching so many and I'm not like tracking them or anything.
Right.
But usually I really like The Departed.
Yeah, can't go
And
wrong.
it's one of my favorites. Gangs of New York is really good.
There you go.
Like my favorite fighting movies, obviously the Rocky
Yeah.
saga. Yeah,
Got to.
I've watched those a bunch throughout my life.
Same.
Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like pay attention to like movie awards and like the Oscars and whatnot too? Are you big into that?
A little bit. I'm not too big into it. I just usually see what happened online.
Right.
Yeah.
I do a thing like every year, like after the nominations come out, I try to watch all the Best Picture nominations before the awards come out. And I just started last night and watched the first one, and now I'm officially committed to the binge. So I feel like that's what I'm gonna be doing all week now.
Yeah. What'd you watch last night?
I watched it's the one on Netflix. It's All Quiet on the Western Front.
I've seen that. Yeah.
It's the
Did you
World War
watch
One movie.
the dubbed one or like?
Yeah, I know. I watched the English dub. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I did, and I didn't figure it out until like 10 minutes in. I was like, their voices are not matching up.
Yeah. Luckily, I did a little bit of research before I watched it. Otherwise, it would have thrown me off too.
Yeah, I was confused.
Let's get back into your jujitsu thing a little bit, man. Do you have a favorite submission that you like to pull on people?
Okay. Yeah. Favorite submission. I really wanted to hit the twister in my fight. I want to be the first in Cage Shine's history. Unfortunately, it happened 2 fights after me because I didn't do it. I should have got it done.
You could have been the one.
That was why I got an A-, by the way. That's another reason. I didn't pull off. I didn't win how I wanted to.
Right.
It was still fun to win with a TKO though. But
of course.
yeah, I wanted to hit the first twister ever because like I can hit those in the gym pretty much at will.
Right.
But I also I love heel hooks a lot. Like a few years ago, I was big into heel hooks, big into leg locks because one of my coaches was doing them a bunch. So
right.
I was like a 14, 15-year-old kid. He was always leg locking me. So I decided I need to get good at them, and we would battle back and forth until I
got
decent at them. Yeah. So heel hooks are fun. Can't do them in amateurs. I hit a lot of front headlock type chokes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those are all good. Yeah. Calf slicers. Those are fun.
Yep.
I like them all.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you got their jiu-jitsu skills, be able to pull off all those things. So I'm sure you have a pretty wide array of stuff you're able to land in competition.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite artist or who's like your most listened to artist, you would say?
Okay, so I walked out to Bad Moon Rising, which is by Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably my favorite band, right? I listen to a lot of them. They're always in my top 5 every year on Spotify.
Right.
But I like Johnny Cash a lot.
Okay.
He's up in the top 5. I like old school Eminem's good, but not his new stuff. He's kind of fallen off.
Agreed.
Like 1998 to 2006 Eminem was good.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. That's probably like what, your top 3, you'd say?
Probably, yeah. It probably fluctuates a little bit. New country artist Coulter Wall's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Listen to a lot of him. Yeah.
Nice. Let's see. Last one, man. If you were a late night talk show host, who would be your dream guest?
Dream guest. Okay. It's a difficult question.
I know. Do you have like you don't have like anybody like that you look up to, any idols that you love, celebrity idols you'd love to have on and chop it up?
I don't know, but I probably lean towards a fighter at that point because it's just easier for me to answer because I would have to think about it. I like to really cover all my bases in my head before I make answers, but I'm on an interview, so I got to get it done. So I'd probably go with a fighter. My favorite fighters are probably Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and I like Justin Gaethje a lot.
Hell yeah.
I like Tim Elliott, flyweight.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'd probably get Justin Gaethje because he's probably the most chaotic out of all
For
of them.
sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure he would be a good time.
Yeah. I mean, he'd probably be saying some crazy stuff. He's pretty
Of course.
violent.
Hey, man. Hey, Tyler, before I get you out of here, man, thank you for taking the time out to come and chop it up with me, bro. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is there anything that you want to say, anything you want to plug before we get you out of here?
My new sponsor, Soggy Franks. Yeah, that's it. And all my sponsors from my last fight, I've shouted you out a bunch, and I don't have the list in front of me, so I can't rattle it off right now, but I just want to say thanks again. Thank you to everyone who came out to my first fight, and I'll see you at some point back in that cage. I don't know when yet, though.
Yes, sir. Whenever you get that itch to get back in there, we'll all be waiting for you. We can't wait to see the encore. So thanks for coming on, bro. I appreciate you. Thanks for taking the time, and hopefully we'll get to chop it up again soon.
Thank you. Yeah, talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
Got down for the count and he can't even talk now. This MMA, what we talking about? Yeah, you tuned into the pod now. Gonna be hard for you to stop now. Yeah, we caged in. Yeah, we caged in. Yeah, we caged in.